Well, it's a very warm welcome back to a second half independent off-tube studio commentary from the game at Stamford Bridge. The last second half to get underway in the 3 o'clock Premier League kickoffs. That's possibly because Frank Lampard just squeezed every second of those 15 minutes out to try and get messages to his players. They weren't good enough in the first half. Chelsea saw plenty of the ball but never really tested Keylor Navas, barring one save, and a lot of work for the Forest defenders in terms of trying to clear the ball. So Chelsea are going to have to play with a lot more purpose in this second half if they're to turn this game around. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and Tom Hill taking you through the action. Tom, Chelsea have just got to play like a team that are actually able to get forward and score.
Yeah, I think the point you've got to make, it's got to play like a team. Just get that rhythm going, get some confidence, try a few things in the right areas. They pretty much coughed up a goal very, very cheaply. But, this first half is done. Regroup. Hopefully Lampard's got a tune out of them, but they do have options off the bench if things are not going right.
They do indeed. Southampton, we were hearing that Southampton were very close to getting a goal early on in the second half at St Mary's, but now it's actually Fulham that have scored an early goal in the second half, and that could relegate Southampton this afternoon. They need to win all 3 of their games and hope for results elsewhere to have any chance of staying up, so potentially it could be all over for Southampton by the end of today. And it was Carlos Vinicius who's actually got a few goals for Fulham recently in the absence of Aleksandar Mitrovic. Here in this game, a minute and a half into the second half, I'll just remind you the two teams haven't been any changes at half time, so it's Edouard Mendy in goal for Chelsea, a back four of Trevor Chalobah, Thiago Silva, Benoit Badiashile and Lewis Hall. There was a change during the first half due to an injury, so Ruben Loftus-Cheek now plays instead of Mateo Kovacic alongside Enzo Fernandez and Conor Gallagher as a 3 in midfield, with Noni Madueke, Raheem Sterling and João Felix as the 3 up front for Chelsea. For Forest, Keylor Navas in goal, a back 3 of Joe Worrell, Felipe and Moussa Niakahte. The 4 across the middle were Serge Aurier, Orel Mangala, Danilo and Renan Lodi, with Ryan Yates, Morgan Gibbs-White and the goal scorer Taiwo Awoniyi as the 3 attacking players. Throw on to Forest now down the left-hand side. We spoke about what Frank Lampard might be expecting from his players. It's a difficult one for Steve Cooper because he doesn't want his players to just sit back and wait for full time, but they don't want to be pushing too far forward either.
No, it's a really good point. Let's break off because they've got the ball here.
They've won the ball back here in midfield, and suddenly Danilo's ranging forward. He's got options either side here. It goes towards the right-hand side. Oh, it becomes a bit of an aimless run in the end, and he's going to have to settle for a pretty basic consolation prize of a corner. It's a shake of the head there from the Brazilian Danilo because he knows he could have done better with that one.
He just never looked like he was in control, Paul. He always looked like his touch was never got fully out of his feet. His first was okay, but his second, third and fourth were really bad if you want to go and get a shot towards goal. If you'd have said you got a corner from when they first got it, you'd have taken it. But as you say, it's fine margin in these games with teams at the bottom. They could have got so much more from that.
Corner kick then to Forest from the right-hand side. It's the left foot of Renan Lodi to swing this in. And as always, plenty of congestion in that 6-yard box from Forest to make it as difficult as possible for Edouard Mendy. Lodi now whips that one in towards the near post. Oh, it flashes past the far post. Both sets of players saying that should be our ball. Referee Paul Tierney points to the 6-yard box. It's just going to be a goal kick to Chelsea, but we'll see from this replay time how close this was.
Oh, so close. I mean, it's one of those where you think, how has he missed? How has he not got a touch to the ball? Glancing flick at the near post. He's there. Goal at his mercy. He sticks a leg out. He does what he can. It's just unfortunate that the sock, it's grazed the sock any more of the shin pad, and that's going in.
Well, it would have been a centre-back's goal there, a defensive goal I should say, because it was Lodi's cross. It was headed on at the near post by Felipe and then almost finished at the far post by Niakahte. And that's certainly a lot closer to Forest getting a second than Chelsea are to getting an equaliser. And here come Forest again down the left-hand side. It's a bit of a shove in the back there on Renan Lodi, and he was fouled. The referee, I think, wanted to give Forest an advantage, but there was none coming, so this will be a free kick. And this is the kind of thing that Steve Cooper will want. Free kicks, slow possession in the Chelsea half.
It's fine, isn't it? It's absolutely fine for Nottingham Forest. Take the stint out of the game. Chelsea need momentum, that's what they need. I think Chelsea are just not very good with slow tempo. You'd like to think they could up it a bit with pace, which is perfect for them. Get a good ball in first and foremost, hope for the best after that.
Lodi with his hand up here, he's going to try and get as much pace on this ball as he can. It's from a similar position that he crossed it towards Awoniyi in the first half, albeit on the other side of the ground, of course, but that was from open play. This is a set piece. Lodi lifting this one towards the edge of the 6-yard box. That's a really good header away by Badishile. And now can Chelsea use this for a counter-attack of their own? Sterling bringing this ball forward a long way, but that's really good play from Morgan Gibbs-White. Just got his body in the way and stuck his foot in at just the right time to win the ball back without a challenge. But just as quickly as I say that, the ball has been won back by Chelsea. And now on the halfway line is Fernandez. Plays it short towards Chalobah. He's got an overlap here from Madueke getting towards the edge of the area. And there's an overlap from Chalobah breaking all the way into the box. Cuts it back. Must be, surely. And it's in the back of the net. Chelsea are level on 51 minutes. And it's the kind of move that they've missed so many times in this game. Just a bit of an overlap and then another overlap between the two players on the right. Sterling not marked and he drills it into the back of the net.
They've made it look so much more simple, Paul. What a good goal that was. Really good from Chelsea. Much, much better. And you can just see a big sigh of relief. Raheem Sterling punched the air as he was a boxer in absolute frustration, but that's what Chelsea should be doing. They've got the areas out wide where there's some strength. They've got the overlaps. They've then got the underlaps, and it's a better ball in across the face of goal. There's actually a bit of thought behind it. A little bit lucky with the shot, taking a nick on the way past the defender, I think, that was on the floor. But you need that luck. You create it as well sometimes by getting the good areas.
Chelsea have an equaliser inside the first 6 minutes of the second half, and it's Raheem Sterling. It was a decent move from Chelsea down the right-hand side. They've lacked those throughout the game this afternoon. But on this occasion, it was a good combination play between Chalobah and Madueke down the right-hand side. Madueke went on the overlap. Then Chalobah went just ahead of him, rolled the ball towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It was played to round about the penalty spot. Raheem Sterling hit it well with the right foot. He got a nick off one of the Forest fenders who were desperately trying to stop that ball heading towards goal, but they couldn't stop it. And it's flared off the deflection into the top corner with no chance at all for Keylor Navas. It's not a good time for Forest to concede. They actually had a very good chance to score themselves a moment earlier, but a header flashed wide from Felipe with Niakahte not able to get a deflection into the back of the net. Chelsea won, Forest won.
Yeah, really good from Chelsea. Just what you need as well to start the second half, isn't it, to get the goal back. So perfect sort of team move as Edouard Mendy and his defence gets set for a Nottingham Forest free kick. They won for a foul near the far touchline on the opposite end of where the cameras are at Stamford Bridge. Joao Felix, the furthest player forward. Chelsea are trying to stand their ground and ensure that they can get away and out of trouble quickly with a quick fire counter if they clear. A little shimmy from Gibbs-White as he thumps this ball in. It's a great ball in, a chance of a Forest. Chelsea flick it away, shot comes in, and it was Danilo who messed at the last counter-attack, who smashes it into the stands. It's still one apiece.
Yeah, still one apiece, and after a try to let the scoreline there will not be threatened at all. So we now have goals across all the games. It's Villa 1, Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1, Forest 1, Palace 1, Bournemouth 0, Manchester United 1, Wolves 0, Southampton 0, Fulham 1, and it was Leeds 2, Newcastle 2 in the earlier game today. It's currently the 55th minute between Bolton and Barnsley, and it's goalless in that League One playoff. Sunderland against Luton to come in the Championship at 5:30 this evening, I should say, and then Salford against Stockport is a 7:45, a Manchester derby, although in fairness both people from Stockport and Salford would argue that they're their own cities rather than actually being from Manchester, but we'll get into that now. It's also it was 1-0 last time I checked between Chesterfield and Notts County. That is still the scoreline there. It really would be so harsh on Notts County if they were to miss out on promotion this season, but they've got a few minutes to go in that first half, and fair play. Chesterfield have been a team itching to get back into the Football League as well, but back to action here at Stamford Bridge, coming up to 54 minutes gone, 1-1 between Chelsea and Forest, and that could be a free kick to Chelsea on the right hand side. I thought Madueke and Chalobah in the end it was who got brought down, and the referee thought about it for a second, decided that there was no advantage. This will be a free kick to Chelsea, and I think it was Mangala the one who had, he just crashes into Chalobah there, gives him no chance at all. It's an easy decision.
Yeah, it is. Just looking at the way that Chelsea are getting there a little bit sharper, they're not slow to the second balls anymore, are they? It's a better watch for us. Chelsea are at home, they've got to dictate the pace. And this is, for me, Forest are fragile away from home, so attack them, they normally will break.
That's, I think, what Frank Lampard would have been saying to his players, is that you've probably put Forest on a bit too high a pedestal in that first half. Actually go for it, take a risk, have another player over, and see what happens. Is Lewis Hall, he whips that in towards the back post. Just a little bit too much height on that one from Hall, although Joao Felix was very close to still doing something with that at the edge of the 6-yard box. Just a bit too much height there from Hall, and Felix put off by the fact that Worrell was just in front of him as well. Worrell was tracking back, as was Ryan Yates. I think that might have come off Yates last, or it might have actually hit Badishile on the back of the leg as well.
Paul. I think it hit both of them, Paul, which would have been very, very close to goal.
Yeah, well, if it is off Badishile last, then of course it can't be a corner. It's not a corner, but Forest immediately play out from the back, and within 3 passes it goes out of play for a Chelsea throw. And this is what Tom was mentioning about Forest being vulnerable away from home, and Chelsea perhaps are just starting to expose that now after that equaliser early on in the second half. It's Enzo Fernandez with a lofty ball out towards the left-hand side for Raheem Sterling. Under pressure there from Serge Aurier. Sterling does well to turn and forces the throw of the former Tottenham man for a throw to Chelsea down the left, and Sterling wants to take it quickly, and then Hall comes across to him and Sterling takes it anyway, but Loftus-Cheek now back towards the halfway line. And there just seems to be a little bit, I wouldn't say that they're sort of dominating here and looking very confident, but there is a bit more of a spring in the step from Chelsea.
Yeah, I think, I'm trying to think what is the best way to describe it, really. It's not a swagger, is it? But they've just got more of a spring in their step. You can just see they think, right, actually, we're not playing very well, and yet we're level. That naturally gives you a breather. They're winning again, more second balls. They've done so here. Hall is Gallagher's going to go for goal. Right footed strike down the throat of Navas. But that's better. I know it's an easy save. There's a chance to hit it.
That's it. That's exactly the thing. Chelsea weren't doing this in the first half. Forest were a bit tentative at times. They did give the ball away a few times, but Chelsea weren't capitalising. On this occasion, Gallagher with the effort, and it is down the middle, but that's what you want to see from him.
Well, what I think is quite ironic is who is Chelsea's record goal scorer? He's in the dugout. What did he do in all of his life? His support play was the best in the world from a midfielder, and yet when there's a chance, he hit it. Chelsea, I think sometimes they've just become so passive to go, let's go sideways, we've got good wingers, and that'll be an area that I think whoever it'll be in charge, they're claiming Pochettino, will try to change that.
Interesting if it is Pochettino, of course, with his Spurs connections, but then as much as the Spurs fans love Pochettino, certainly the owners and Pochettino didn't see eye to eye towards the end of that relationship. Here come Chelsea down the left-hand side, Loftus-Cheek and Hall. It's Hall now just having to check back slightly, playing the ball towards Badishile. Short now towards Fernandez. João Felix trying to turn. Felipe got in his way, but then the ball drops back to João Felix, who goes for goal, and that is not a bad effort at all. Is that a fingertip save there from Navas? I don't think it was. It's just gone over the bar in the end without any intervention from the goalkeeper, but that's a really good effort from the Portuguese.
Yeah, again, a slight glimmer of a space. He took it. Forest didn't close him down quick enough. It's a very good effort. To say they've given him a glimmer of a gap, it's not even a full shot, is it? He's not got a full view. He can see a little gap in the net, and he's tried to whip it into the far corner. There is a player there in João Felix. I don't think he's a 9, but there is something in that kid's locker that you'd like to think Chelsea can exploit should they keep him again next year.
Absolutely. It's just the problem is that is he another sort of false 9, another winger, another number 10 that Chelsea already seem to have about 5 or 6 of. We'll get your thoughts on that in a second, because in the meantime Aurier slips and given the ball away, and suddenly this is a great chance for Chelsea. Loftus-Cheek into the box now, finding Sterling, who goes for goal. And inside 9 minutes, Chelsea have completely turned this around from being 1-0 down at half-time to now being 2-1 up even before the hour mark. Whatever Frank Lampard said to his players at the break, it's worked, and Sterling's got both the goals.
Yeah, well, we had a chat earlier, Paul, in the first half about what's Ruben Loftus-Cheek's best position. For me, get him on the ball in the centre of midfield and let him go. He set off. Don't get me wrong, Sterling has done well to do so, but Nottingham Forest, they commit early. I can't quite see who it is that slides in. It might be... in fact, yeah, whoever it is that's committed early has slid in far too early doors. I think it's Felipe. Felipe's come flying across. He thinks Sterling's going to go first time. The minute he does that, he opens up a gigantic gap. But then the finish, exquisite. Brilliant from Chelsea.
Well, Chelsea have turned things around completely here at Stamford Bridge, from 1-0 down at half-time to 2-1 up inside 58 minutes. And it's Raheem Sterling, the scorer of the first goal, that's on the score sheet again. It was good work down the left-hand side from Hall and Loftus-Cheek. It's then played through to Sterling. There was absolutely a needless lunge from Felipe to try and stop Raheem Sterling. He slid past Sterling, and that encouraged him to then check back onto his right foot and sent a curling effort into the top corner, which Keylor Navas had absolutely no chance with. Much to the delights of Stamford Bridge. Frank Lampard, one of the rare occasions we've seen him with a smile on his face whilst he's been manager of Chelsea second time round. Chelsea 2, Forest 1.
Brilliant, really, really good, and really impressive as Loftus-Cheek sets off on his way again, and he's drawing in the Forest players. Gallagher pokes it forward. It won't get to Madueke, but he makes something of it. Madueke running forward. Gallagher's on his right. He's still going. Can he find a way through? He keeps it. He's a little greedy. Gallagher was the better option. Gallagher's actually got the chance to have a go at him while they're running back towards goal and keep hold of this 2-1 lead. But I think I was speaking to some colleagues earlier, and they were stunned at Madueke. I thought Madueke was Chelsea's most dangerous player, and two of them laughed at me and said he was the worst player they've seen in a Chelsea shirt last time out, that they commentated on him. I can see the rawness, the ability to get his head forward. What you can also see is the lack of doing the right thing. He had the momentum, either shoot early or pass it, and then he just kept it and then didn't pass it.
Well, this is the problem, I think, that players are only going to learn that on the pitch. I mean, you could tell him that 50 times in training, but until he does it in a game where he gets the overlap wrong, he gets the pass wrong, sees a glare from a teammate or a manager, or indeed hears a volley of abuse from a fan right by the touchline, and he'll know then the next time he's got to do something differently. And you only learn from your mistakes. That's not just a football or a sporting expression. That applies to just about everything. And certainly we saw that there, Madueke. As we can see now, Steve Cooper, he was unhappy with something. He was really berating the fourth official, Rob Jones. Not quite sure what the Forest manager was unhappy about, but just to quickly run down, it's Lingard, Ayew, Johnson, Kouyaté, Toffolo, Surridge, Freuler, Bolly and goalkeeper Hennessy on the bench for Forest this afternoon. They're going to have to think about some sort of change now as they are chasing the game. But Niakahte has got forward down the left-hand side. Left-footed cross from him, headed out for a throw to Forest. And Niakahte, we saw him launch a ball into the box in the first half. And is he going to do the same again? He is, with virtually no run-up as well. That's a fantastic throw from Niakahte. Drops at the edge of the area. It's a cross in, and Forest are level. Forest are level on 62 minutes. And there's Taiwo Awoniyi out of absolutely nowhere. I think we might have been a bit premature with all that praise on Chelsea, because whilst they've been good going forward, they've suddenly forgotten how to defend. It's a long throw lobbed into the box. Awoniyi with the header after the ball was cleared and then crossed back in. 2-2.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was more than happy to praise Chelsea on the ball because they deserved it, but then defensively they're a shambles again. And it's a good header, it's a good simple ball in, but it's a long throw-in. It's the most abnormal long throw-in I've seen. He doesn't even move the taker, and then he just swings the ball back out. It's a good ball back in. I think it's Mangala's delivery to the far post. He's just put it back in. It's a percentage delivery, isn't it? Let's get it in. Let's see who can attack it. The answer is that he's centre forward. Game on.
Well, no sooner had Chelsea got in front in this game, within a couple of minutes, Forest have equalised, and this is pretty much their first attack since Chelsea have scored those 2 goals. We're now seeing a potential VAR review here, which may actually put pay to this Forest goal. Although I don't think there's a touch from Yates, so this may well be given as a Forest goal, but it was a long throw from the left-hand side from Moussa Niakahte with virtually no run-up at all. He's launched that ball into the box. It was partially cleared, lobbed back into the box, and it's headed into the back of the net by Taiwo Awoniyi, confirming that the goal has been given. It's 2-2 between Chelsea and Forest.
Yeah, it's worth a check, I guess, from the officials, just to be 100% sure, which they, after 3 replays, realised that Yates didn't get a touch. So we move on, and 2-2. It's a lively game at Stamford Bridge. I must admit, I didn't see this coming when we came back in the studio for the second half. No,
and especially with Chelsea taking a 2-1 lead inside the first 12-13 minutes, you thought, well, now Forest are going to go into their shell. Chelsea are going to be more confident, but Forest almost immediately equalising, and again, every result is possible now.
Yeah, it is, and Chelsea will be, of course, kicking themselves of the mistakes they've made. Frank Lampard has certainly made a tweak that has improved things. That cannot be denied. He can then not help that his team are a little bit lacklustre in the defensive department to make it still at 2-2.
Well, that's the thing, is I think managers get criticised, rightly so, when they make tactical errors, don't pick the players that make sense to be picked, etc. But when you've got top international professionals that can't mark a simple set piece, then that really isn't the manager's fault. Although the manager will get blamed for it after the game, and he may have to sometimes even take that on the chin, but really it's just his players not doing what they're supposed to.
Yeah, frustration really is, but yeah, I mean, I find it hard. I do find it complex because Lampard's doing all this and work. He's not going to be there. They're not going to you're not going to give him the job. So how much do the players really listen to him? I do find it hard. They can't get Europe. They're not going down. It must. I think they all just can't wait to finish.
I know, and it's almost like as soon as Lampard's dropped a player, that player then won't be sort of friendly with Lampard anymore. Yeah. So then he's lost him in the dressing room if he's trying to get something out of him. And yeah, it's a difficult one. You think that players are sort of committed, etc., but they are only human. If at any workplace, if you feel like you've not got that respect or that understanding from a supervisor or a boss, then that relationship becomes more difficult. And I suppose when it's multi-millionaire sportsmen, it's magnified even more.
Yeah. So it's a good point. I just think Chelsea need to reset, start again in the summer, have a big clear out, mainly the last few games, get a win, start from defending this set piece and build on this.
Corner kick then to Forest in the meantime. They've got a chance to whip it in here from the left-hand side. It will be a right-footed ball in from Morgan Gibbs-White. It's not enough height on that. He wants to remember how Forest have scored both their goals in this game. It's with deep crosses, putting that Chelsea defence under pressure. That cross was way too flat, cleared back into midfield, and then Felipe trying to knee that one back to Gibbs-White, but he puts a bit too much on it, and it's out for a Chelsea throw, which Chalobah takes quickly and takes short in towards Thiago Silva. Fernandez now squared to Barishile. Out towards the left-hand side here, Lewis Hall being closed down quickly by Gibbs-White. And then he plays the ball back in towards Loftus-Cheek. Chelsea just slowing things down. Just to tell you very quickly, we've been two very quick goals in the League One playoff semi-final, where Barnsley took the lead away at Bolton. But just within a couple of minutes, Bolton have equalised now. So it's 1-1 at the University of Bolton Stadium. Back here at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea edging forward, but they really are just edging forward. They're only about 40 yards out as João Felix plays the ball over the top. It's not a bad idea, I suppose, but it was always 50-50 at best, and Navas makes the claim.
Yeah, that is where it's a pass where they're playing passes that are just not going to work with the teammates they've got on the pitch. Raheem Sterling's got the pace, but that ball was put into an area where he has to be strong against two towering centre-backs. It's just not going to happen. You know, when Sterling's at his best, he's got space to manoeuvre into. Lo and behold, the impact on the game he had with the goals.
Absolutely, and now Forest are trying to get forward here as Chelsea are messing about with it inside their own half, and Renan Lodi breaks into the box down the left-hand side, fires a ball across, and has that got a touch off the Mendy? It hasn't in the end, but we wanted Lodi to have an effort in the first half. When he laid the ball off to Danilo. On this occasion, the Brazilian has the effort himself. Lodi, I should say, because they're both Brazilian, aren't they? But Lodi has the effort, and it's always just angling away from goal.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's put it into an area where he hopes someone's going to stick a leg out, but he's put that much power in it. They'd have had to set off a lot earlier. They'd have been offside. But again, it's not horrendous for a team on the counter. It's not. There was a little bit of thought behind that, just not a lot of execution. But again, there's a reason why Forest are down there at the bottom. Yes,
absolutely. And so there's been some very difficult matches for Forest this season. And as I say, it's still it's been a fascinating Premier League season. It really has. With so many ups and downs, teams seemingly falling away and then bouncing back. I mean, you go back 4 or 5 months, Bournemouth looked to be, not even that far back, even 2 or 3 months, Bournemouth looked to be completely dead and buried. You look at the position Wolves were in at Christmas when Lopetegui took over, and look at where they are now as well. It really has been an incredible turnaround. And even the teams that are down in that bottom 5 now, they've been swapping places all season, and there's still plenty of life left there as well, as Chelsea's attack comes to nothing on this occasion. There is an offside flag, which will be very welcome news for Forest. Just allows them to slow things down. But Awoniyi, he's had some big goals for Forest this season.
He has. They splashed the cash out, didn't they? They put their faith in him, and everyone was a little bit surprised. And overall, I think the money's worth for his first year in the Premier League. They probably have, yeah.
I think so. I think considering that they didn't pay anything for Jesse Lingard other than the exorbitant wages, and who's had more of an impact on Forest this season, the slightly less fancied and less known Awoniyi or the very well-known Lingard? I think we all know the answer to that question. But here come Chelsea now down the left-hand side as Sterling breaking into the box down the left-hand side. Well marshalled here by Joe Worrell, but Sterling still has the ball, trying to turn away from Joe Worrell, and eventually Worrell's fair play stands his ground, doesn't slide in. Forest now win the ball back. It's cleared up towards the halfway line, taken down quickly by Thiago Silva, and Chelsea now at the edge of the box here. Gallagher leaves this for João Felix, who's brought down. No, he dives, says the referee. And a yellow card for the Portuguese as well, when Mangala was all ready to try and defend himself for not committing a foul. The referee does it for him.
Yeah, it's a big call, is that, in the area that he's in the pitch. If he's going forward, he looks like he's being sandwiched to me. I mean, a dive's a big claim.
Dive's a big claim, and the yellow card as well, because we've seen more than one player this season who's been adjudged to have dived without necessarily. He's fouled there, Tom. I mean, to me, I'm very surprised. It's almost like Mangala's reaction has somehow swung it in the referee's mind that there was a dive from João Felix, but he's right to have a very angry look on his face right now, the Portuguese forward, because that, to me, I don't even think he was. I didn't think he was. I thought he was fouled, let alone that he dived. But we're over the three-quarter mark in this game. It is Chelsea 2, Nottingham Forest 2. Nicely poised here at Stamford Bridge, and it will be Tom to take us through to full time.
Yeah, cheers. Southampton's relegation is all but confirmed, isn't it, Paul? There with that Fulham's second goal, and it is Aleksandar Mitrovic that's come back from his 8-game ban, and he's got a goal to add to his tally to really prove that this year he can play in the Premier League, unlike his doubters said at the start of the season. And Southampton's fans will now be waving goodbye to a Premier League club. A Premier League player was James Ward-Prowse, a couple of others, Kyle Walker-Peters. They'll be players that you'd feel will be playing Premier League football next year. Will Forest be able to snap up any of their squad as Niakahte lines up a long throw-in as he goes into it, a deep ball in. It's Chelsea get to the edge of the box. Shot comes in, and it's not the worst effort, that. You can hear Paul alongside me. It's a sliced effort from Renan Lodi, and he's whipped it towards goal. The ball's there to be hit. He's tried his best. It's just a whisker wide.
Yeah, he's put his laces through that, Renan Lodi, that's for sure. And it's not too far away at all. It actually hits the stanchion post behind the goal, so it is very close. Meanwhile, a drab afternoon for Tottenham is getting worse at Villa Park, with Villa now 2 up against Spurs. Speaking to our colleague who was doing that game from another studio, he says Spurs were very flat, not up to much at all, and it's Douglas Luiz with the goal. But meanwhile here, Tom, it looks like Chelsea preparing a substitution. We're just trying to make out who that was. Couldn't quite see from our sort of camera angle, but
Douglas Luiz has got a few goals recently.
He has. Douglas Luiz has got a few goals. I still think that's the corner kick against Arsenal was my favourite, of course, when he scored direct at the Emirates. But here comes Chalobah down for Chelsea.
Yeah, Chalobah down the right-hand side, running at load. He gets the ball in, whipped across the face. It was a perfect ball for, let me say, like a Romelu Lukaku, should Chelsea have not got rid, as it was whipped past João Felix. Here is Fernandes. Gets it back to Gallagher. So it's a Hall. Down the line looking for Loftus-Cheek. Hall's pass is wayward. I think Chelsea have got to be patient with Hall. There is a player in there. There's a few interceptions. There's a few good tricks. There's also going to be a few errors from a youngster that probably needs game time.
Absolutely, he does need game time, and it's never going to be easy when you've got so much competition. But fair play to Lewis Hall. Sometimes these chaotic seasons can actually benefit youth players at big clubs, because it suddenly means that the manager's almost like at the end of his tether with all his stars. So we'll get this young kid and see what he can do, and all of a sudden he shows that he can be good. That's how Marcus Rashford got into the Manchester United team all those years ago, as Chelsea push forward now with Gallagher.
Yeah, Madueke, Gallagher gets it back up the line to Chalobah, in towards Felix, who's peeled away, goes back to Chalobah. Chelsea have lost their width though, because Felix had dropped inside. Now he goes down the line, Felix. He's got Niakahte all over the back of him. João Felix keeps hold of it. It's good trickery, but Niakahte is just too strong for him. Gives him a little nudge at the last second, and it's a really good bit of skill that from Awoniyi, who turns, flicks the ball around the corner of his right shoulder, runs over his left. Thiago Silva says, "Not a chance am I catching you." Shoulder barges him to the floor.
Yeah, it takes one for the team there. There's Thiago Silva. And he's probably a little bit annoyed with Awoniyi as well for him scoring a couple of goals this afternoon. But Chelsea making a double change here. Kai Havertz and Hakim Ziyech, potentially 2 players that could be on the way out in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we're going through this Chelsea team and saying these. Well, we could genuinely say that for quite a lot of this squad, couldn't we? That you know, Havertz has not been used to his best. He's not a number 9. They keep playing him there. He can't play there. Madueke flashed in bits, not the perfect product at the end. And 2 players that can try and come on. I mean, Ziyech, should say, is destined to leave unless Pochettino can really tempt him.
Well, I mean, he's been there. He's been a sort of a first, second sub for Chelsea ever since he's been here. He's never really had a decent run in the team. They had, I think, a season or 2 where he was sort of always starting the European games, but then on the bench for the Premier League games, and eventually he became a sub in the European games as well. I just think that there's certainly the player that we saw at Ajax was able to offer a lot more than what he's been able to offer at Chelsea. But then, of course, it's not that straightforward. It could be a combination of him not being in form, him not being able to settle in London, possibly. But yeah, it's just not worked out between Ziyech and Chelsea.
No, it hasn't. Havertz was central there as Ziyech had tried to make a quick throw in. They pulled him back for taking it out of position. Thiago Silva's card confirmed by officials as Badashile gets it out wide to Sterling. This is where Chelsea wants Sterling, running at this Forest defence. Let him ask questions of them as Yates is backpedaling. Loftus-Cheek to Fernandes. Fernandes gets the ball, whips it wide right towards Ziyech. He's get it onto his left. He will try to, floats the ball in near post, headed away by Forest. Back out to the pacey winger. He's got 3 for company really nearby in Forest colours. Chalobah across the middle of the park for Fernandes. Fernandes looking for a gap. He might have to go forward on his own here. Fernandes runs into traffic, gets it somehow forward, but Aurier was there first, and he will clear it away for a bit of a breather for Forest. He's actually done very well to keep it in play. They just take it towards halfway. As Chelsea regather, 75 gone, 2-2. Chalobah wide right towards Ziyech. Chalobah's continued his run. Ziyech picks him out, gets across the face. Forest clear. Pretty much a mirror image of the first goal. Nearly worked again.
It nearly worked again, but this time Felipe was in the right place to put that clearance in. Chelsea, I was going to say, Chelsea took a quick free kick, and Ziyech almost let a 3-yard pass go out for a throw-on. But now there's a collision at the edge of the area, and I think Gallagher was suggesting he might have been brought down, but the referee disagrees.
Yeah, interesting as well there, the lack of communication. That's Felipe that's twice messed up for Forest, and he was racing forward and now has to come off his line. Didn't realise, Felipe, that he'd called for it. Got to do better there, the defender, because Forest can just get on the ball and regather. As here is Fernandes, wide to Silva, and Silva gets the ball now and looks further forward. It's into Havertz. Havertz looks on the attack. He gets it back out wide and picks out Ziyech. He's going to try and run forward here with a bit of optimism. Rolls it back instead, though, to Silva. It is still 2-2 at Stamford Bridge. It is the pick of the games today at 3 o'clock. Nobody else has had the same amount of goals as us. Only those that commentated on Leeds Newcastle in the 12:30 game. As Gallagher gets it in midfield, another one that, do we know his best position? Is he an 8? Is he a 10? We'll soon find out in the coming months as Ziyech gets forward. He is tripped. It's a lazy trip, that, from Forest. And that really should be a yellow card. There was no attempt to play the ball there from the midfielder in question, which was Danilo. And he's tripped him on a dangerous part of the pitch.
He has, and so we've just seen that earlier collision there as well. As Ziyech now trying to break into the box, and he gets caught there as well. That's a painful one. It's Danilo just getting back to his position. Chelsea have still got plenty of time here, and this is a great chance now to get this ball in.
Yeah, Ziyech has actually stayed over there to take it at the right-hand side of midfield, putting his services toward. Such as the modern game now, there's umpteen Chelsea fans behind the goal with their phones out to film it. Isn't something I've ever personally done, actually, at a football match myself. And Ziyech will try to reward those that are trying to make a moment last as he goes for the looping ball in, down the throat of Navas, maybe try to catch him out, hope for a touch. He just put too much whip on it, though.
Yeah, it was always going too close to the goalkeeper there. I'm trying to think if I ever filmed a cross or a goal. I think once or twice. I think I might have done it during the Olympics when I was at Old Trafford for a GB game, just because it was a rare thing to see a GB football team. But it's certainly not something I prefer to sort of get into the moments. Particularly as doing this job, we tend to be there professionally. So when we're there as fans, I don't really think either of us would bother with a camera phone, really, would we?
No, as Hall gets it clear, hooks it away, up towards Sterling, who keeps hold of possession. Sterling, he can turn away from trouble, and he will do so. Still going, Sterling races away from trouble. He's trying to take them all on his own. Sterling wide to Ziyech. Ziyech into the penalty area. Couple of touches. Can he get the ball across the face? He can. Forest clear behind, though. I mean, Raheem Sterling in the second half has caused Nottingham Forest nightmares. 2-2.
He has. No, he's had a very good second half, Raheem Sterling. And with all the changes and all the squad rotation this season, Sterling's not actually been a regular for certain parts of this season. As Chelsea win their first corner kick of the game in the 78th minute.
Yep. Is it going to be a good one? We'll soon find out. Ziyech, Silva, Chalobah, Havertz, Badiashile all together. He takes it short to Sterling, back to Ziyech. He will now float the ball in this time. Forest head clear, only as far as Sterling, but it's at least towards halfway, that clearance. So much what Forest wanted, that has come to fruition. As now it's in possession with Sterling once more. He goes back to Hall. Chelsea just taking their foot off the gas a little bit. Forest are in a precarious position here. Do you expect Chelsea to score again?
I think that it's just unavoidable that Forest are going to start sitting back more and more now as it gets closer to full time. Forest, you know, they can't stick. They can't try and gamble this. They're 2-2 away from home against Chelsea. If they get a chance, a set piece, a counter attack, yes, they'll try and use it. But you can't expect them to start pushing forward for a winner now. So from their perspective, they've got to try and do what they can to play as high up the field as they can. Because if they start sitting back at the edge of their own box, just by sheer weight of numbers, Chelsea will get more chances.
Yeah, here come Forest in possession. Then they're trying to drive over halfway with Gibbs White, whose main job for now is to keep possession, which he does. He fires it into Mangala. Mangala's touch was nearly caught out by Gallagher, who pulls him back to the ground quite literally on the halfway line. And he's carded that for that challenge, Conor Gallagher. He's penalised for it. There's a grimace on the face of Mangala, who limps away, and a little pull on the shirt from him. Gallagher can't have any complaints, and he's just trying to tell teammate in and behind, got to be quicker, got to be in the face of the Forest players. Gallagher's one that I think you always tell cares when he's playing. He's one that doesn't take his ball home. You can clearly see he's a passionate footballer.
He is, and I think that because he's had such two successful loan spells. He was a great young player at West Brom. He then got an England call-up off the back of his loan spell at Crystal Palace. And I think he's very keen to now show this for his parent club. But he's picked a bad season where everything's just a little bit difficult for Chelsea.
Yeah, Forest take the set piece, floated in. It's still 2-2 as Chalobah heads clear. Well dealt with, not once but twice by Chelsea. But Ziyech's clearance goes across the box rather than away. And Hall will help it on its way to Havertz, who will hold up possession, only to be fouled, though, by... midfielder in question was so it was loaded, that had dropped back to do the defensive work as left back. He'd come in a central position. As here is Hall. Chelsea take a quick free kick, work it short back to Fernandes, who's at least 40 odd yards out from goal. He's nearly level with the centre circle in truth. He goes across to Silva, takes a touch out of his feet. Chelsea fans were trying to pay tribute to Thiago Silva today, because I think the feeling is that he's on his way. They want to do it before it is too late.
They did. There was a huge banner that was just as the players were walking out that covered sort of almost half of one of the top stands, which had Thiago Silva wearing a Chelsea shirt but with sort of a Brazil flag in the back. It actually looked really, really good. I was impressed with that. But in the meantime, here come Chelsea now with a ball in from midfield. It was quite a flat cross aimed at Raheem Sterling from Thiago Silva to Raheem Sterling. That's all wrong, really. Thiago with the cross and Sterling with the header. It should really be the other way around.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, it would have been great to see Thiago Silva head that, as Brennan Johnson's going to get told to come on. He's just wiping the hair as a like-for-like change up front with a man that's got 2 goals. Put a massive shift in.
That has absolutely a great performance from Awoniyi today. And Brennan Johnson always worries me when I see footballers whose dads I can remember very well as being players. But as I say, Johnson has had some massive games for Forest this season, but he's also had some difficult moments, missing a couple of key penalties as well.
He has. Another youngster that's having to learn on his trade, though, at the very top, though. And that's real frustration, isn't it, for Forest, that they've got a few players like that. And Johnson to try and add some extra, I guess, pace to the play and stretch them a little bit. Could he get a breakaway goal? Of course, Forest will dream of that. Handball here against a Chelsea player. And it was Badashile that stuck out the arm in a mass panic to get the ball away from a Forest man, allowing Forest to take a set piece, which Gibbs White will now have over it. And he's got the ball down, looking in a central position to try and get a good delivery into the area. So Gibbs White will be a right-footed in-swinger. 2-2 it remains. 82nd minute we tick by into. Edouard Mendy, who was at fault for the first goal, is trying to reorganise his troops. What will be here from this set piece? Gibbs White looking across the box, desperately trying to find another red shirt. Left arm aloft, Gibbs White does deliver it towards this 6-yard box. Good hands from Mendy this time, much safer. And now he releases Jean-Felix on the right-hand side. Oh, sorry, it's Kai Havertz who's on the counter. Up towards Ziyech, he will be fouled.
So with less than 10 minutes to go now at Stamford Bridge, it's still 2-2. Chelsea 2, Nottingham Forest 2. But as is often the case in these situations, the side away from home, Forest, desperate to keep that 1 point, are just starting to be penned back into their own half. They're struggling to get out, and they're just sitting back a little bit deeper. There was a half chance for Chelsea when a rather central cross from Thiago Silva was met by Raheem Sterling, but his header went wide. There's also been a couple of other half chances. Sterling had an effort which was blocked, and there was a chance down the left-hand side for Hall, but his cross was straight into Keylor Navas. At the other end, we've not seen too much in terms of any Forest threat, but there has been a couple of changes. Ziyech and Havertz on for Chelsea for Madueke and Felix, and Brennan Johnson has just come on to replace Taiwo Awoniyi. Still 2-2.
Yeah, Gallagher scrapping away on the floor. He's claiming he's had his hand trodden, I think, Gallagher. Ziyech has gone across to recover. Lots of scrappiness here at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea work it back up the touchline to Silva. Silva shaped like he was going to cross it and actually went backwards into Badashile. Worked out from Fernandes across to Hall. And Hall goes back into midfield, trying to bring his teammates into play. Sterling, one of those that's trying to get a bit of space and momentum. Here is Silva, worked wide from him. Out towards Ziyech, who's actually injected a bit of life into this Chelsea team. Down the line he asks for a runner, gets it from Loftus-Cheek, but he runs out of space. Forest concede a throw. But yeah, Ziyech has I was impressed by Madueke, but I think Ziyech has actually done more than him in those times. Just everything he's done has been consistent.
You just feel that he's that little bit more confident on the ball, isn't he? That he's got that trusty left foot. Even then, I mean, he took a throw on and got a terrible pass from Loftus-Cheek, but dived in and kept that ball in play, and Chelsea still in possession.
Yeah, out wide it goes. It's going to be whipped back in then towards the far post. Couple of players outside the box for Chelsea. Only Kai Havertz in the area, and that is where I think Chelsea go back to their old school of mass panic. Of if we just cross it, it looks like we've done a job. I mean, you have one man to aim at. It has to be perfect.
It does. You can't have a hit and hope cross when you're aiming at one player who's not even, the most prolific aerial threat anyway. As Cheku Kouyaté getting ready to come on to replace, looks like Ryan Yates.
Yep. I was actually talking to a friend the other day that said Forest stats when Yates plays are off the charts for performances. Might not do work that is noticed by people that watch highlights, but his actual presence in the team is so paramount to their success. Kouyaté, a player that you'd feel probably would have had more minutes this season, hasn't had the rub of the green fully.
No, I mean, I think that he's done a job both at West Ham and at Palace in the past, and the fact that he's pretty much, with the flick of a switch, can be a centre-back or a central midfielder as well, and do both those jobs well, I think makes him a very useful player for most Premier League squads, I would argue.
Yeah, here is Silva in possession, trying to bring the ball forward for Chelsea. They've got around 5 or 6 minutes of normal time left before we get stoppage time. We have had a few subs, but we haven't had any real stoppages in the second half. So do wonder what will be left of this game as Havertz gets on the ball, spins away from trouble. Again, he's still such a technician, is Kai Havertz, the German. Chelsea have yet to get the best out of him. They've got the ball down the line now. Ruben Loftus-Cheek played a bit of a hospital ball. Hall recovers it. Towards midfield at Baniashile. Into Loftus-Cheek now, out to the left here for Havertz, back it's to Sterling. Sterling tries to flick the ball out wide. It's going to be brought into play by Hall. A couple of players and they're falling over each other's feet. Forest get back and actually do incredibly well to only concede a throw-in. But yeah, Chelsea's problem is so many is getting certain players the best out of them. Kai Havertz as a 9 has got to stop.
Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't get the goals. He doesn't hold the ball up.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
It's not his natural position, and as I say, he's just been... He's been tried in that position too many times to the point where he's probably getting sick of it as well. Yeah, I'm sure he is. Fernandes gets it into Gallagher. Gallagher takes it out of his feet. Shot comes in. It's going to be blocked. It'll be a Chelsea corner. Done very well there, Gallagher, to actually bring it under control. Yeah, I mean, Danilo's upset. I think he might have felt as though it deflected back off Gallagher, but that happened in such a split second and away from the referee's view that even if it did happen, you can't really expect the officials to see it.
Yeah, Ziyech is going to cross and take the corner. Chelsea need a decent delivery. They've got 3.5 minutes left. As Ziyech gets to the ball, floats the ball in. Chelsea player goes to ground, and the referee plays on, in fact, and it's out towards Loftus-Cheek. There's a lot of players in the box with a lack of movement here. Chelsea with Sterling again. Wanted a 1-2 with Gallagher. Gets to 1-2. Here is Raheem Sterling running through a goal deflection. It goes the opposite way. Felipe hooks it clear. Raheem Sterling is taking the game to Nottingham Forest, and at times almost by himself.
Yeah, he really does have he's really stepped up in the second half, Sterling. It's been an impressive performance from him. And he's certainly causing Forest a lot more problems now. There's still 3 minutes plus injury time to go.
Couple of minutes. Forest fans nervously looking on. Of course, a point today at Stamford Bridge could be what separates them at the bottom of the table.
Well, it would still be a great point for Forest. I mean, even if Chelsea aren't the Chelsea of previous seasons, the Forest aren't a very good team on their travels. And a win would put them
3 points clear.
3 points clear of relegation with 2 games to play. And Everton, of course, don't forget, they play at home to Manchester City tomorrow. So, I was just saying, you never know. I mean, this Premier League season has had some surprises, but the smart money says that City should, well, at the very least, not lose that game, but more likely win it.
Yeah, the smart money says that Leicester and Everton will struggle to pick up points. Leicester are playing Liverpool, aren't they, this week? So
Monday night, yeah.
So, yeah, 2 teams that are banging form. As Fernandes is not banging form with that pass. He gives the ball away. Forest through Gibbs White. A bit ambitious that from Gibbs White. He wanted to go for broke. Wasn't happy at the run from Brennan Johnson. And it's now out towards Sterling. Chelsea on the front foot. Forest desperately try to hold on to this 2-2 draw, which would get them a point, which would put them 3 points clear. It then means that Leeds have to win a game before the end of the season. Otherwise, they are down. And other teams behind them as well. That 3-point cushion does certainly help you if you are Forest. As Ziyech gets down the line. Chasing it was Gallagher. Linesman has to move out of the way as Tottenham have scored against Aston Villa, wiping out Aston Villa's clean sheet.
Yeah, it's a penalty from Harry Kane in the last minute of that match. giving Spurs potentially something to hold on to, something to go after in injury time in that game. But we're still around a minute away from injury time here, as there's a bit of a foul inside the box there.
No, I thought it was just a coming together. Gallagher's been penalised for a push, and Harry Kane has scored. I mean, Tottenham's season has been an absolute nightmare. Harry Kane has just continued to churn away. As we look at the replay of that free kick, little in it for me.
Not much in that at all. I mean, it's one of those where if Niakahte does that to Gallagher, then Chelsea don't get a penalty for that, I don't think. It's one of those where the referee's a little bit more likely to give it in favour of the defending team. But that's not a problem. Navas has made sure everybody's away from his box. He's put the ball down. He's taking as long as he can with this free kick.
Yep, take us back into stoppage time, he will, pretty much, with a boot downfield. And that just goes even more out of play. So Chelsea have to quicken up and try and take a quick throw. Chalobah does that to Silva. Of course, no 5:30 today in the Premier League.
No, that's to try and accommodate for all the playoff football that's now starting.
Yep.
As Sunderland Luton is the
plenty
5:30
of action tomorrow though, and Monday night as well.
Indeed, yes. Tomorrow, 2 games at 2 p.m. Brentford against West Ham and Everton against Manchester City, and then Arsenal against Brighton is the 4:30 offering. Then on Monday, to 8 p.m. kickoff, Leicester City against Liverpool. Before we go into the Champions League semi-finals on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, Newcastle Brighton is Thursday, isn't it? That's the extra week.
Yes.
Fixture this week, as Chelsea will look to end this game on a high. Gallagher, shape to shoot, gets it to Fernandes. Fernandes did the exact same thing to Cross, played it away. Ruben Lodi dives in. 5 minutes of stoppage time to be added at Stamford Bridge, and now there's a player down for Forest. Maybe struggling for cramp. They're going to get a sub lined up to take more sting out of the game.
Yeah, looks like it's Harry Toffolo getting ready to come on for Forest here. And so the player down in trouble appears to be, is that Danilo down on the ground there? Wait and see whether or not he can play on. But the fourth official now confirming that there is going to be a change, and it is going to be Danilo to be replaced by Toffolo.
Yeah, I mean, he's been helped off by the referee in terms of encouragement, try to speed him up. And he's been told to get off the pitch as quickly as possible. He claps the away end, and I mean, he's not looking too good, is he, in terms of it looks a little bit jaded out there, like he's struggling to continue. Toffolo comes on for the final few, a player that's barely had the chance to impress. And there's a few of them, isn't there? Forest, of course, O'Brien joined, and then they cut him out of the squad, and he had to go play elsewhere. That's a big move that he'll be frustrated by. Just 5 months of not playing football, if not more. Yeah,
and so then you've got John Joe Shelby, who arrived at the end of the January window and has now seemingly fallen out with Steve Cooper. He was very quick to say there was no falling out, but since that falling out that never happened, Shelby's not even been on the bench.
Well, there we go. As Gibbs White gets it, tries to go long, asks Johnson to chase, as Mendy's at least got something to do. Mendy goes sideways to Silva, so still 2-2 here. Elsewhere it's Villa 2, Tottenham 1, Chelsea of course here 2-2, Palace 2, Bournemouth 0, Man United 1, Wolves 0, Southampton are relegated. They've been beaten 2-0 by Fulham, so desperately sad day for Southampton supporters. They walked the tightrope last year. They didn't get out of it this year, and one of the big clubs that have been relegated before in the last decade, of course, now have to find a way back after a bit of poor planning. Really never strengthened the squad, didn't get a striker to really put the goals in the net.
No, they sold players without replacing them with like for like. They're basically asking Hasenhüttl to still get the same style of play and the same results that he was getting out of a squad 2 seasons ago that had 5 or 6 much better players in it, and eventually they just ran out of options, and it's going to be an interesting rebuild that for Southampton.
Yeah, outward towards Ziyech. Ziyech is going to try and get it. He goes for goal. It's a very tame effort. Bounced one off the floor, but straight into the hands of Keylor Navas, who's not going to struggle to save that. And we are 2.5 minutes left of stoppage time. Are you in the camp of Forest are up and survived?
I think not yet. I still think there's still a little bit of work for them to do, because I do think there are still going to be some potential surprises further down. I think that the next game for Forest is massive. They're at home to Arsenal next weekend, and that is a 5:30 kickoff. Potentially by the time that game kicks off, they will already be in a comfortable position, or indeed they'll know that teams behind them have started picking up points again.
Yeah, ball played across the face from Chelsea. They've gone a bit aimless here, Chelsea, a little bit gung-ho and not really doing much with it. As Loftus-Cheek is caught, referee gives advantage. It was Johnson with a foul through the back of the midfielder. Here is Fernandes. He's told to go wide to Hall. Silva's the one that's pretty much quarterback in this team, but Chelsea are going backwards towards the centre circle. They've got to stretch the play. Here is Silva. Silva's waiting for a gap as Chalobah gets it, fires it through to Gallagher. Gallagher's worst idea is to let that go, but it goes out of play for a Chelsea throw. Manchester United have scored a second, and the goal scorer is just trying to get that confirmed. is Garnacho. Bruno Fernandes with the assist there. So the youngster doing a bit of good work in the final third. And Manchester United will be greatly appreciated with that result, because Newcastle penalised held back by Leeds. And we've got a minute and 10 seconds left at Stamford Bridge. It looks like we're staying as we are.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Chelsea just seems to have run out of steam towards the end of this game. They've got plenty of possession, but at the same time, Forest do have the bit between their teeth in terms of defending the box. And it has to be said that they've not been peppered with shots or crosses either.
No, they haven't. Here is Sterling towards the byline, gets a couple of touches, tries to get away. Sterling doesn't cross it. Now he does. Floats it to Gallagher. Gallagher tries to bring it under control, runs into traffic. Fernandes can't get to it. It was an air kick from Gibbs-White. Fernandes turns away, needs to get it wide for a crossing opportunity to Hall. Gibbs-White blocks that route. Here is Fernandes. Fernandes with a very ambitious ball across the midfield to Chalobah. Chalobah's trying to get across. Can he get space? Ziyech is inside him, so he can't go wide. That's awful from Chelsea. Absolutely awful. Even worse from Forest, as Koyate gives it away. Steve Cooper's got his head in his hands as Chelsea a gifted possession. 35 yards out from goal. Ziyech, Gallagher. Gallagher's too slow. Wants a free kick. Referee's about to give one. Then he hits a shot. It's tame, Conor Gallagher. And he just never looked like he wanted to do anything with it.
No, well, it's almost like the referee was thinking about a free kick. I'm wondering whether Chelsea would have preferred to have had a free kick there rather than the shot that's ended up going straight down the middle. But that's pretty much it as far as the 5 minutes of injury time. We'll see how much longer the referee wants to add on.
Yep, I think this will be it from this goal kick, as that is full-time whistle. Chelsea 2, Nottingham Forest 2. A massive point for Forest in their quest for survival on the road, where they've been so dreadful this season. Chelsea again, a game to forget, a second half salvo, but over the 90 minutes, just not good enough. Full-time score at Stamford Bridge, it is 2-2.